Okay. So I was gonna wait a little bit before I decided to go ahead and throw this, make a video of this, mostly because I wanted to get a few floors in before I was ready to see if it actually worked out or not. And for the record, it does work out fairly well. I'm just very under combat power to where I am currently, as well as before. So there's a little bit of stuff here and there. Learning a little bit about this team composition, though, especially for Winter Ludmila, so that's something. Anyway, this is the new revamped team for Tetra. I did state that I was going to get rid of the bunnies, and so I have replaced Noir and Blanc with Dala and Winter Ludmila for more cooldown reduction, more range, and more damage capabilities. I think I turned off my notification. Yes, I did. Uh, Again, I want range. Shotguns aren't doing anything, especially if Noir happens to burst, then that's great. But the problem is that the hit rate is, you need a significant investment into hit rate to at least see some modicum of improvement. I do know for a fact that if you have somewhere around over 46 to 45% hit rate, you'll start noticing a much more tighter grouping in the spreading shots. For shotguns, the problem is that it's a very heavy investment. So I mean, hit rate. You can just get it from practically anywhere, but it's a pretty huge investment. The team composition mostly looks the same. It's just been rearranged for the most part. So for here, I guess first it's Soda in rank 1, then Dala in rank 2, Noises in rank 3, Alice is in rank 4, and Winter Ludmila is in rank 5. Where you put them, to some people said that it doesn't really matter to a significant degree, but for me personally, I do notice that sometimes if you have like a submachine gunner or a shotgunner at an angle, they can't hit that core worth shit, because sometimes the raptor in question, whether it's flying or just at a really significant angle, it'll completely miss the core, and sometimes you'll actually be able to hit the core opposite of where the Nikke is positioned. So the positioning for me does actually matter. To some people, it's like it works either way, which is true. It does. But, yeah. So I think for the last time I have actually put a little bit of investment into Soda. I don't really remember if there was really much change. I do know that that still largely stays the same. This is the chess piece. Yeah, no. Yeah, the chess pieces. I re-rolled the chess piece and I got garbage for the stats. So yeah, everything I think for the most part kind of still the same. Stat wise or skill wise, there was a little bit of investment. I think it was all 333, and I think I just bumped it up to a little bit to 1. I did bump up skill 1, skill 2 to 5, mostly because that's kind of where the main. It's kind of where the main skills are at for her. So higher HP means better restoration for health whenever she does have it fully stacked out. So that's actually pretty good. I like it. The problem is it's still a passive ability or active ability every 12 seconds, and every 12 seconds I don't need healing, or I do. So largely varies. The burst ability is something I'm not really prioritizing. The main reason being is because of the damage it does is so mediocre, it doesn't really matter. The stun effect is barely noticeable anyway, and the affects all fire code allies. Really, that could just be an I don't know. For me, it just seems like that should be in a skill 1, so that way it procs every time she gets a stack, she'll get another stack, and then it just keeps stacking or stacking, something like that. But if it's a burst ability, it's not that bad. Especially since she is fire coded, she is a stacker, and for her to be able to synergize with herself, it's kind of a running thing with this game. Being able to stack up more mage spirits, which I think stacks out at 5, and then afterwards you can just refresh the duration, which is a relatively generous amount of time for 10 seconds, so it's not that bad. Collection wise, the doll has probably got a little bit of cleaning since then. I have not bothered touching it. I really should, but I don't really care too much to. Well, I really should actually, now that I think about it, seeing as how I know what the next 4 treasure Nikkes are going to be, and quite frankly, I don't fucking care for their existence. You can't fix a shotgunner, and I don't care for Mel. Helm, unless they fix her and give her piercing capabilities and remove that shitty ass last bullet effect, then great, maybe Helm, but I seriously doubt it. I don't care for snipers. And Miranda, who fucking cares? Unless it's something amazing, which I don't fucking see it happening. I did give her the wingman cube, so there's that. If you don't know, so does Machine Gunner. Machine Gunners excel very well at mowing down fodder, doing anything that's like capable of hitting anything and everything. So that's really why I have Soda. Dala, she was the added. She replaced Blanc. The main reason being for cooldown reduction. My team here does actually seem to have a bit of an issue when it comes to generating too much burst, and now I'm kind of generating very little burst, but just enough to where it really does matter in a marathon level bosses and defense battles and stuff like that. So this actually does help. Having her here is pretty good. Maybe wondering why her and not Volume. Volume's a burst one Nikke who has a kill skill ability and is a cooldown reduction, but has very mediocre damage and is a her utility is bad compared to Dala's ability. So I did give her the charge cube. More damage, I guess. It's something. Skill wise, I don't believe has actually changed since the last time I've had Dala. In fact, Dala kind of was sitting somewhere around maybe a good 80k combat power to maybe 90, and then she jumped up to 142 because of investment into gear, overloading, and then giving her the SR doll, which I don't believe has had, no luck in cleaning. Skill wise, if you don't know what it does, basically she gets more attack every 10 seconds, which is kind of solid. The duration is relatively mediocre at best. The amount is it's okay, really. It's not that great. It's almost right up there with Noir's, but Noir's is constant, but with a string attached. Skill 2 is her burst ability. Whenever she enters full burst, she'll reduce the cooldown of everybody, which is pretty solid. The second effect is even better, but she has to be the one bursting, and because she is my only burst Nikke, therefore she will be bursting, so solid. 5 seconds of increased attack, crit rate, and crit damage. This is actually something that's alright in my opinion, especially since the attack happens first, the crit rate does come in second, and then the crit damage comes in third. In my opinion, that's actually really decent. The problem is it's a mediocre 5-second duration, and because full burst lasts for 10 seconds, I don't know. Clearly somebody at Shift Up is not using their head, because blood's redirected elsewhere to the other head. Don't think too hard on that one. Her burst ability is relatively mediocre, quite frankly. I don't really want to be doing a lot of damage to a Rapture that has like a shitload of defense, because as far as I'm aware of, it's like doing no damage whatsoever, because Dala's not really a damage dealer. She's a support Nikke, in case you don't know. She has a 1 second charge times when it comes to landing shots, so there's that. Overload gear, I just overloaded her, that's it. I have not really put any really significant investment into upgrading her gear. I was planning on doing so, and then my Macilla's crew was kind of suffering, so I decided to go ahead and upgrade them. And then if I was having problems in the Tetra tower, I always have a backup unit in the form of the bunnies to meet the minimum, or at least try to get up as close as combat power as I can, so that way I'm not heavily punished. So yeah. Overload stats are pretty much the same. I mean, here's the thing about Dala. She doesn't have really a very, I want this stat. It's just that, it's who cares. You can build Dala however you want. You want to build her defensively, you want to build her critically, you want to build her for element, you want to build her for attack. Go right on ahead. Really, every single stat that does come in from the overload thing works for her to a large degree. The only thing that doesn't work at all is hit rate, and because snipers don't have a problem hitting things. Their deviation of attack is not that far, it's just that they're sometimes bad at aiming, and it really doesn't matter where the angle you're at, so hence why I put her in rank 2. So I think what I really wanted to try to build her for was really just charge damage, charge speed, and attack with charge damage and maybe some attack and max ammo capacity. And max ammo capacity for sure, but the thing is, She's not really a Nikke that wants more ammo. So, yeah. More ammo for really any Nikke is, that's not a lost bullet. Nikke is really good, so it's not really negative at all. So, yeah. No, it is actually working out fairly well. Problem is, when I want spare bodies for the 2 Nikkes I want to use the most in my tower, the game decides to give me the newest Nikke that came out this year. Give a fuck for Bay, I don't give a fuck for Clay, I don't give a fuck for any trashy ass Tetra Nikke. Noise is Noise. If you don't know anything about Noise, I don't know what to tell you. She is part of my main team composition. She is maxed out in core, gear, skill, and pretty much, yeah. I don't believe she's... I thought she was actually at phase 7. Phase 10. Okay. Tells you how much I haven't really been paying attention. That's quite alright. Skill overload stats wise, I did want to boost her up for more ammo so that way I can actually spam shots to build up burst gauge if and when the stage needed, and that's kind of rarely happens, but it does happen. For the most part, I think Noise has pretty much still had the same amount of stats since last time I made a video about it. I think this is the only thing that's kind of changed to a significant degree. This kind of probably has been re-rolled before, but other than that, this is the most recent change in stat-wise, I think. But I say recent as in like maybe a few months back. So there's that. I do want to build her for charge speed and more ammo. More charge damage is actually relatively okay. The problem is that sometimes charge speed is very, very bad. In case you don't know what she does, she reduces the amount of damage taken for all allies. This build, the Chorus 1 ability is actually going to proc at least once per battle. It's almost guaranteed because of skill 2, which she taunts and then increases her own max health. It's a pretty good ability. I do like it. The max health actually regenerates health as well as increases overall health, so that way she can take more damage. You may be thinking the 1.8 seconds is really, really bad. It's actually, it needs to be reduced a little bit more, so that way I can, yeah, anytime this falls off, the max ammo, the max HP gets reduced down to her original HP size. But if you are manually controlling her, then you can, control who she hits at what time, so that way she can get the max HP buff, let it fall off, hit again, and pretty much refill her own health at that point. So I do like this. This happen does tend to work on its own, and it does tend to backfire quite a bit. So there's that. In the boss fight, she's not. She's pretty good. It's just kind of bad. It's a double-edged sword. Her burst skill is pretty much just increase overall max HP by a large amount. It's actually really, really good. Then recovering HP based off her HP, and you can kind of see from here she's got well over 4.6 million. So 2.47% of the caster's final max HP is not terrible. It's actually really, really good. So when it comes to general stages, I don't actually use her unless I need to have an emergency heal, in which case then she'll probably be the first one to burst. We'll talk about burst rotation in a few minutes. Alice, I had to add her because of reasons. If you don't know the reasons, I'm pretty sure you're like shift up. You're not paying attention. Tetra has literally snipers and shotguns in a regular burst rotation. Unless you count Idol Sun. A lot of people don't. I kind of do. I was using her briefly, but all we have is snipers and shotguns for burst 3 Nikkes that are just ordinary cool. Yeah. I was trying to build her up for max ammo. I think that's kind of important. I do want to get some charge speed. I did reroll charge speed for, I believe, this had charge speed, and I wanted ammo, and it wound up giving me ammo plus element plus defense, so I decided to do it. This one had charge speed as well, but I wanted more ammo. More ammo is a little bit important. Skill wise, she does have max skills at 10 in burst. Skill 2, it's laughable. Like, even the devs know that this is just a fucking joke. There's no reason to have this. Even this needs to have a little bit of addition to go along with it, but there's not. In case you don't know what skill 1 does, basically when you're into the full burst, 2 highest attacking Nikkes that varies depending on your attack stat for the overload gear, will get affected by this. I think now she is being affected by this as well as noise, whereas before I think it might have been like Noir and noise and not her, which kind of sucks. Now I believe it is her who is the highest attacking Nikke, which is great, and noise is as well. So that's pretty good. I don't mind. The two Nikkes that are charge type mechanic are actually making very good use of this little extra ability when entering the full burst. So that's pretty good. I like it. Just fuck off with charge speed and charge damage, because that's a really shitty ass ability and a mechanic that Shift Up knows is garbage, but they keep, whatever. It's a mobile game. They ain't gonna change. And her burst ability is just basically giving her more charge speed plus attack. So this plus this is pretty good. I do actually see her just peeking in and out of cover, just one shot and fodder. Because that's how the AI works. I could actually take over. The thing is, though, I would not rather waste my time to tap shoot. So fuck that. I'll leave that to the people that seem to think that that matters. And it kind of does, because obviously they are getting pretty good numbers. The problem is that they're not making use of the charge ability. And Shift Up knows it, but they don't give a fuck enough to actually change it or to make it matter. So I gave her the charge up 2. I would give her charge speed. The problem is that my other arena team Nikkes are making better use of it, so I just leave it as is. Let's see. There's nothing really more to talk about other than she is one of my primary synchronized Nikkes, as in one of 5 that was locked in permanently. I can't do anything about it. So, permanently added Nikkes, you might as well make use of it, because you can't fucking remove them even if you wanted to. Again, she is one of the very few Burst 3 Nikkes in the Tetra roster that is not limited. Big fucking problem. I think I showed the it's phase 5. I got that, I think, like, second time I cleaned it, right after I gave her the doll. Basically, all the resources you see dumped into her came from her diary. I wouldn't really waste my time with it. I use her just for the tower, and basically that's it. I do like the character. I hate the fucking mechanic of sniping. It's terrible in this game. I like it in other games. And last but not least, Winter Ludmila. This, I found out there's a little bit of an issue when it comes to this. First of all, limited Nikke. That's a big issue. That sucks, right? Limited Nikke issue. The other issue is that I found out when I was playing against, or fighting against Ultra, the poison stacks that I was shooting at evidently don't trigger her skill 1. We'll talk more of that here in a second, but I believe she has had a phase 5 cleaning. That's actually pretty solid. I do want to make sure my DPS Nikkes is good. Again, Ludmila, Winter, Warrior. Oh, owner? Who could fucking guess that? It's like that one episode of Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law, where men talk to mind takers, reading the little scrolling on the bottom of the screen. He's like, be sure to prepare for 3 days worth of fresh underwear, water. Oh yeah, I love Harvey Birdman. So anyway, being a machine gunner is the most positive thing about it. The negative thing about it is a giant fucking whopping 3 seconds of reload. That's the negative thing about it. However, she's more of a positive Nikke. The problem is there's negatives associated with positives. So let's take a look at it. Skill-wise and overload stats, I did actually invest very heavily into ammo, and unfortunately, I can only get so much shit. Locked in and stuff like that. Unfortunately, the game seems to think I want element damage. Realistically, it's not terrible to put element damage on a water Nikke, given the fact that some of the majority of the bosses in this game are kind of fire coated. Blacksmith, Chatterbox, Nihilister, Harvester. You got other Lord class raptures that are fire as well. Like, just for the life of me, can't seem to remember. I can only think of Fingers and Spread and Bulwark and all of them. But some of the Tyrant class, aka the big boys, again, Chatterbox, Blacksmith, they happen to actually still be in the game, especially in a special interceptions where 2 of them happen to be in the game. Harvester actually happens to be an anomaly. So Water coated Nikkes are kind of needed in bulk and not fucking limited, but Shift Up doesn't know their own shit. Good for them for not drinking their own Kool-Aid, I guess. But yeah, I think I've been trying to build her for ammo. In fact, I know I've been trying to build her for ammo. I've been trying to build her for critical damage. I've been trying to build her for attack. I don't mind having a couple of lines worth of element damage, and the main reason being is because water coated. There are some bosses that do have fire, so that's kind of okay in my books. It's just that we're getting shit on with the rolls. It's just bad, and if I were to re-roll it, I would lose combat power. I'd be kind of gimping the whole entire thing. But if I happen to get something that you want, like attack, critical damage, that's all fine. You may be wondering why critical damage is because, again, machine gunners have the amazing capabilities of landing so many shots in a very short duration that one of them is bound to be a critical hit. You can't really go a good chunk of the time without seeing a critical hit. It's almost impossible, and because if you believe the base of the data mine that was supposedly mined for this game, every single Nikke weapon class does have a minimum of 15% base crit rate. I don't know how true it is. That information was on the internet, therefore you can kind of take that as you want, but it does kind of actually does seem to be fairly accurate. Her skills are pretty solid. I do like them. The problem is it's a selfish skill, but it's kind of makes up for the fact that I don't have Blanc no more, or I don't have Noir, so it's fine. It's not really that big a deal. Queen's Gaze, as I was talking about earlier, does have a little bit of a weird fucking gimmick where if I'm hitting the boss of a part, or boss's part, it doesn't proc Queen's Gaze. And if you're mainly wondering, how do you know if it procs? Well, it does this massive roaring sound, and you see this little whirlwind like hit the rapture in question that's being affected by this, and it's pretty loud. It's pretty annoying. You can't really unsee it once you see it, and it's like, what the hell? So when I was fighting against Ultra, I was trying to destroy the poison sacks, and one thing I have noticed is that the poison sacks are not being affected by this. I couldn't see any kind of effect whatsoever, and the only time I did see it was during the second phase when we were just landing DPS shots right on the face or on the core. So this is a bit of an issue when it comes to parts, but I did actually notice on another fight, I was hitting the part and it was still proccing, so there's some inconsistencies with Queen's Gaze. But other than that, this is a really good, solid ability. The fact that this is actually able to be maintained on a Rapture is pretty good, so long as they don't fucking hop around or teleport, which does happen. But when it does happen, doesn't happen, or they just happen to be on screen all the time, then that's actually really, really good. Increasing overall more damage. It's pretty good. I like it. The other half of this ability is probably what I consider to be the most fucking amazing thing about her, is because she has a built-in Bastion effect. I believe at max level, this refunds 20 rounds every 60 rounds spent. That is awesome. Also, this is a little bit hard to go through her ammo, so that way she can make use of her burst ability, which is reload speed. Unless I put her in with, say, like Diesel, where infinite ammo is a fucking thing, and it's going to be a thing, and it'll always be a thing, because that's the most awesome thing in the world, then this is kind of redundant to a certain degree anyway. But you do want to have a certain amount of ammo, so that way you can actually play along with Diesel's infinite ammo mechanic. Presuming, of course, that you are using Diesel for infinite ammo, or you are building Diesel for infinite ammo, and you are using her for, say, like solo raids, boss raids, uni raids, etc., etc., etc. So I do like this ability. Giving her the Bastion ability is also fucking awesome. It's like literally like almost 50 rounds every 100 rounds. I think it's 50 rounds. I think it's like every 100 rounds I spend, I at least have 50 rounds put back in because of the Bastion effect plus this effect, which I think the Bastion effect gives you at maxed Bastion effect. It's 3 bullets every 10 shots spent. Those 10 shots don't have to be landed on the target, they just have to be spent. But you'll get 3 shots back. You'll get every 3 shots every 10 shots. If I'm doing the math correctly, I think it's 30 rounds every 100 rounds spent, plus the 20 that you would possibly get from this, which would be 50. So every 100 rounds spent, you'll probably get about 50 rounds back. It's awesome. I like it. It's really, really good. Refunding ammo is probably something I kind of maybe, if not entirely, overlooked. Otherwise, I probably would have rolled a little bit better for her last year. Unfortunately, I was saving it for D and K, or K and EH, but unfortunately, we haven't fucking seen them. Skill 2, it's okay. It does additional damage when hitting the core, so you kind of know that skill 2 and skill 1, the 60 shots landed will actually proc. It does actually, there's this additional effects. Final attack is damage, additional damage, plus increasing the overall damage taken. That's pretty good. I like it. It's an incredibly solid additional effect like this. 60 rounds is not that bad, especially since I think within 30 seconds, if you're playing on mobile or a device that's capable of running 60 frames a second, which is very crucial information, which I'll try to make sure I leave a note about it in the comment section. Running it at 60 frames a second is very important. If you're playing on PC, chances are your settings are already set to 60 frames a second, so you'll actually see that machine guns will excel very well. Again, machine guns do very well based on the frame rate. It's a 60 frames a second, so if you have PC that's running 60 frames a second, you'll know that your machine guns will do exceptionally well. There's a long-winded thread about it. I found out about it a long time ago, and evidently it is the truth. Machine guns do run fairly well at 60 frames a second. I think it has something to do with the engine. I'd imagine that in due time, Shift Up will fix it. I can't say that with a straight face. That's probably where face cam would come in handy. Anyway, second ability is active whenever she enters into full burst. She doesn't have to want to be burst. Just one of what I've noticed is she just has to be a part of the full burst. So that's actually pretty solid. Given a generous amount of crit rate for a generous amount of time is pretty acceptable, especially since it activates during full burst. So that way, if there's any effects that increase overall critical damage or crit rate during full burst, this will sync with it. So it's pretty solid. I like it, especially since that's why I'm building her for critical damage. So crit rate and crit damage, this is why I'm trying to roll less for crit rate and more for crit damage, attack, and ammo, with a little bit of element damage to go along with it. I hate element damage. It's largely useless 80% of the fucking time. It's only useful whenever you're going against the Rapture that is weak to it. That's it. But in water versus fire sort of scenario, it works out. And last is her burst ability. It's nothing really all that impressive. It's just bigger numbers, bigger damage. It lasts for a full duration of full burst, which is actually pretty solid. Given the fact that this is a huge amount of attack at level 6, it's actually pretty solid. The duration, as far as I'm aware of, does not change. It's just the amount of attack that you get. The reload speed actually does increase based on the amount of skill investment, but lasting for 20 seconds is fucking righteous. I like it. It's pretty good. I do have to actually pay attention after full burst ends and see where she's at when it comes to ammo, and then if that's the case, if she's really low, like she's gonna make that hit that empty magazine, I will let the AI do his thing. But if I have somewhere around maybe 200 to 140 something rounds left, she's not gonna hit that cap before that timer runs out. And I know that for a fact because I've seen it happen way too many times where the ammo will actually run out and then the buff will happen to fall off right at the exact same time. So I will actually force her into cover to reload just so she can make use of that. It's pretty good. The problem is on my end is I'm trying to figure out a really good burst rotation, and I kind of think it's either I'm bursting with her first or second. Yeah, I'm working on it. Like I said, for the cube, I did give her the Bastion cube. Like I said, is at level 3. I think it's somewhere around maybe level 7. Yeah, level 7 is when you get that level 3 effect for the refunding ammo. Pretty good for machine gunners, exceptional for submachine gunners, okay for assault rifles, bad for shotgunners, and depending on your situation for the rocket launcher snipers. It actually does work out fairly well if you're looking at a default ammo size. All in all, this whole time team is working out fairly well. I do have spare bodies I could put into her, but I'm wanting to see where she is without actually putting too much spare bodies into her. Because if she runs fairly well without having max limit break, then that kind of means that you should just go in and get her. And from personally experience and seeing it, she's exceptionally well. So, This new team composition is, again, it's working out fairly well. The main problem is it's just I'm heavily under combat power because of the poor investment in skills, poor investment into gear. I do need to max her shit out. She's already done. She's pretty much invested in skill. I just need to put more time into maxing out the level of the gear, trying to get better overall stats for overload. It's just, again, I can't get that because RNG. Woo! So when it comes to burst rotation, I go Soda, then Dala, then Winter Ludmila, and then Soda, then Dala, and then Alice. But it really does depend on the situation, the stage, and how things are really going. So if I don't need heals, it will be Soda, then Dala, then Winter Ludmila, and then Soda, then Dala, then Alice. Now Alice would be my stage finisher. I sometimes will actually use Alice first, and so it'll be Soda, then Dala, then Alice, so that way she can just wipe out fodder. Because that's what the AI does, because that's how the AI works, because the AI is fucking stupid. It just is. But if I happen to be in an okay sort of scenario, then I will more than likely have control over Ludmila, and then I will burst first with Soda, then Dala, then Winter Ludmila, and then Soda, then Dala, then Alice when it comes to the stage target showing up. When the stage target does show up, I will prioritize taking over Ludmila so that we are actually aiming at the stage target. That way that debuff is hitting, Alice is hitting her big numbers, and I am trying to hit that core, and everybody is center focused on that. The faster I can get that done, the better. It's kind of like using Red Hood for a stage finisher. In this case, I am using Alice as a bit of a stage finisher. It's not working out too well. I can be entirely forthcoming with that information, but realistically, it's a work in progress, but it's a work in progress that is actually working out fairly well. If the situation is bad, such as I got hit, Alice lost her piercing capability or something like that, then the burst rotation will be Noise, then Dala, then Alice. Or Noise, then Dala, then Winter Ludmila. It really does depend on the situation. Things like the Fart Fist, for example, which does AoE damage no matter what, if you're in cover or not, I will use Noise for that, just so I can be above the HP line. And for the HP regeneration, things that are not really that significant or very important, such as the shield generators or just the satellite units that are just annoying shield generators. Don't worry too much about it. Noise does a very good job of taunting and taking a brunt of the damage. Soda does an okay amount of damage as long as we go through Ludmila for mopping up fodder. Alice and Dala will pick off whatever they can and help, I guess. Realistically, I haven't seen any really impressive numbers when it comes to Dala. But it's a work in progress, and I can honestly say going at least a good 20 floors, at least basing off a good amount of bosses, has actually helped out fairly well. So yeah, that's the team. If you are curious to know if you can get Winter Ludmila, no, you cannot. She is again, winter only, limited time unit. That's the bad thing about it. So there's that. I seriously doubt she'll make an appearance anytime this year. I don't believe Shipped Up will ever do anything stupid like Christmas in July. It's kind of weird. There has been a little bit of a thing like that where there has been Christmas in July, and I just remember seeing it one time on Ed and Eddie some years ago, and some people do actually do that sort of thing. But I seriously doubt that they'll ever have Christmas in July. It'd be pretty cool if they did, but I fucking doubt that they will. Again, Winter Ludmila is limited, so if you did not grab her, I don't know what to tell you. Save up your tickets for next year, this coming year, because it'll be another 12 fucking months before you see her. If you are looking for an alternative for Winter Ludmila, the best thing I can possibly tell you is probably throw Noir in there. Because if you throw Blanc in there, you won't have to worry too much about you will have to worry about your cooldown generation, because you'll have some time before your cooldown runs out. Again, the other team composition that I was using before, if you are looking for a non-limited time unit, it was Blanc and Noir. That's how it was working. It was Soda, I believe actually how it was working was like this. That way, muscle memory. That's kind of what I wanted. And basically, I was taking over Soda when and if I needed. Thankfully, I do not have to worry about that anymore, so I can just use whoever I want. And that's basically who I have decided to use, which was Dala and now Winter Ludmila. So if you happen to have gotten Winter Ludmila and you didn't get any spare bodies, don't worry too much about it. She's not a Nikke. That does require her to have more spare bodies or max core. Any Nikke you see with the words based off of caster's maximum, and then it says maximum HP, maximum attack, defense. That's something you want a lot of spare bodies as much as you can possibly get into, so that way you can maximize the amount of damage you can possibly be doing and utility and functionality of that unit. Winter Ludmila thankfully doesn't have anything like that other than final attack, but you know, it's not that big of a deal. Final attack is final attack, but it's the numbers eventually do add up. Just in this particular case, it's not really all that impressive or really anything too much to worry about. It's just a small, mediocre amount of 100-something% more damage every 60-something damage. So there you go. This is my new team composition. I am planning on using this as best as I can make use of it. The real significant problem with this, in case anybody is wondering, is that the lack of AoEs is present when it comes to bursting. Other than that, Noise is the only launcher I have, and realistically is the only launcher you should need, because rocket launchers can literally wound clusters of enemies or groups of enemies that are on the ground, or sometimes just outright kill them. And Noise happens to actually do that when at combat power, or even slightly below combat power. Even slightly below combat power, she will wound them. Machine gunners and snipers will pick off the remaining ones and sometimes overkill them. Machine gunners will deal just enough damage to where they won't have to worry about like damage spilling over and going nowhere. So other than that, having in the range in the form of machine gunners and snipers and rocket launchers is actually pretty solid. So there you go. That's my current team. If you have any questions, just feel free to leave a comment.